The 2021 NFL Draft is 2 years into their careers, and towards the end of the 2020 regular season, everyone was paying attention to who would be the lucky team to get Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence was the most hyped-up quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, and the Jacksonville Jaguars finished the 2020 regular season with a 1-15 record, and a few months later selected Trevor with the number 1 overall pick. But Trevor wasn't the only good prospect in this class, and in fact there were not only several good prospects from this class, there were several elite prospects, and 2 years into their careers, well, they look very, very promising to say the least. From Ja'Marr Chase and Jaylen Waddle to Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, and Christian Darrisaw, well, the list really goes on, and in today's video, we're going to discuss how the 2021 NFL Draft is becoming legendary. And it's probably because the players from this class get proper nutrition, which is exactly what you will get with Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen dietitian-approved meals right to your door. And there truly is no off-season, and Factor helps me in a big way because the meals are ready in just 2 minutes and are easy to prepare. And between watching film and editing videos, Factor helps me with meals in a big way because of how simple it is to prep and clean up. This herb-crusted chicken with mashed cauliflower and toasted almond green beans is very good, and meal plans range from 6 to 18 meals per week, with choices like keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and vegan and veggie. These meals are so much better than ordering takeout, and on top of it, they're healthy and filling. I can enjoy a spicy jalapeno beef bowl during halftime of a game this year and not miss any of the game. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code analysis50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. They're ready in just 2 minutes with no prep and no mess using my code analysis50, and with an option like the Protein Plus, Christian Darrisaw improved in a big way in his second season as he didn't allow a sack until week 11 against, you guessed it, fellow 2021 draftee Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys. And Micah has started his career off with a bang as he has back-to-back 13-sack seasons, back-to-back Pro Bowls, and for the Pro Bowls means nothing crowd, well, he's finished second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting in both years and has 2 first-team All-Pros. And with Micah being just 24 years old, you would like to think he wins a Defensive Player of the Year award at some point in his career, and even in the scenario he doesn't, he's going to be a productive player in the NFL for quite some time, barring health of course, and it's not unreasonable to think Micah has 75 or 80 sacks in the first 5 or 6 years of his career, given he already has 26 and a half and is coming off of a year in which he had 90 total pressures, which tied for leading the league with the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. And one player that is very underrated from this class that gets lost in the mix largely due to Micah and how good of a start to his career he's had is Dolphins pass rusher Jaelan Phillips. Jaelan is a primary example of sacks don't mean everything, as he actually had more sacks as a rookie with 8.5 in 2021 compared to the 7 he had in 2022. However, he had 70 pressures during the 22 regular season, which was good for 7th in the NFL, 1 spot behind Myles Garrett. And because Phillips plays in the AFC, a conference with countless good quarterbacks, the opportunities will be there, and I do believe Phillips will become a double-digit sack player year after year after year. And with the emphasis that's placed on pass rush across the entire NFL, there's a very good chance this class produced 2 10-plus sack players with Micah and Jaelan, and there are a few other players from this class that could easily notch 10 sacks in a season in their careers, like Greg Rousseau of the Bills, Odafe Oweh of the Ravens, Kwity Paye of the Colts, and Azeez Ojulari of the Giants. This class truly has it all from the pass rush position, and a lot of these guys are still young, and believe it or not, due to COVID years and redshirt years and everything related to this, a lot of these guys are younger than some 2023 rookies, while having 2+ years of NFL experience. And this class didn't have a Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa top 2 or 3 guy as a prospect, which makes it that much more impressive. And not only do they have great pass rushers from this class, but there's also great offensive linemen in the trenches too. Penei Sewell was the first tackle taken and has been a good player for the Lions since being drafted number 7 overall. He allowed 5 sacks as a rookie in 2021 and allowed just 2 sacks in 2022, and played a big part in the Lions winning 8 of their final 10 games this past year. He made the Pro Bowl and he didn't turn 21 until October of his rookie season, so he will start this season at just 22 years old with a Pro Bowl already under his belt with more to come. For clarity, he will turn 23 in October. And it's great for the first offensive lineman off the board to start his career well, but it's also kind of expected given he was a top 7 pick. However, Rashawn Slater, the second tackle selected, was a second-team All-Pro in 2021 before rupturing his biceps in Week 3 of the 22 season. And before the season-ending injury, he allowed just 3 pressures in 113 snaps, which equates to 1 pressure allowed in 37 2/3 snaps, and was on his way to another great season. And it didn't stop there either, as Vikings left tackle Christian Darrisaw had an insanely impressive start to the 2022 season, as he allowed just 10 pressures in the first 9 games of the year. These 3 guys all have very promising futures, and there's also a couple of pretty good interior linemen from this class by the names of Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Landon Dickerson. Combined, these 3 players allowed 3 total sacks in all of 22, and each of these guys logged over 1,000 snaps. And Jets fans, I cannot forget about Elijah Vera Tucker either, who unfortunately had a season-ending injury as well. The point of all of this is the trenches from this class, both offensive and defensive, are absolutely loaded. This class is littered with Pro Bowlers from the trenches, and the talent does not stop there. For as disappointing of a second season as Kyle Pitts had, which in a lot of ways was out of his control, he didn't go for over 1,000 yards as a rookie in 2021 by accident. And he was the first, and rookie is the key word here, because Gronk and Kelsey and several others have done this multiple times, but he was the first rookie tight end to go for 1,000 yards since Mike Ditka all the way back in 1961. And Kyle is still just 22 years old at the time of this video release, and should be a good player for a long time. The talent he has is undeniable, and I hope we see it unleashed on a more consistent basis this year. But Pitts wasn't the only tight end from this class, as Pat Freiermuth was selected late in the second round, and he too is a very good player that will be a contributor for the Steelers for a long time. Muth in, well, really every way is a Steeler through and through, and having these two in a tight end class is a very good sign for the draft class. And to give you a comparison, the 2020 draft class's best tight end is Cole Kmet, and after him is Harrison Bryant of the Browns. And the 2022 class's best tight end 1 year later, from a receiving yard standpoint, is Chig Okonkwo with 450, followed by Greg Dulcich with 411. These guys could be good, but I don't think they're going to be what Pitts and Freiermuth will be in the long run. Now, for what some people would say is the most fun part about this class, and it's the receiver position. 3 receivers were taken in the top 10 picks, and usually one of the players taken this high will not necessarily be a draft bust, but fail to live up to the expectations of being a top 10 pick, but this certainly hasn't been the case. Ja'Marr Chase was the first receiver off the board, and after him were Alabama teammates in Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. Through 2 years, all 3 of these guys have over 2,000 yards receiving, and even a 4th receiver has over 2,000 yards receiving, and it's Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions. And for 4 guys to have a pace of over 1,000 yards to start their careers, even if it's only 2 seasons into their careers, is very impressive. And Chase, of course, broke the rookie receiving yards record during their rookie season back in 21. This may come as a surprise, but out of these 4 players, Amon-Ra leads the quartet in receptions with 196 in the first 2 years. And if all of these guys stay healthy in the long run, it's not unrealistic to think these guys could each notch 4 or 5 Pro Bowls in their careers and have north of 7,000 or 8,000 yards, along with 50 or more touchdowns. And hell, Ja'Marr has 22 touchdowns in 2 years, and that's even with missing 5 games during 2022. Unfortunately, with receivers, and especially when compared to other players in their draft class, usually there's a player that has a quarterback that severely limits what they can do, and the discussion surrounding the player is something along the lines of, He's good, but imagine what he could do if he were on a different team. But all of these guys have good quarterbacks, and that's kind of rare in itself. And for anyone thinking Jared Goff isn't that good of a quarterback, well, he finished 6th in the NFL in passing yards in 2022 and 5th in passing touchdowns, and Amon-Ra hasn't walked into 196 receptions in 2 years by mistake. Assuming these guys stay healthy in 23, of course, I would like to think all of these guys get 1,000 yards this year, and especially Amon-Ra, who should put up sheer volume numbers in the first 6 games of the year with Jameson Williams out. And don't forget about former first-round picks Rashad Bateman and Kadarius Toney in this mix either, as they each have former MVP winners throwing them the football in Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Now, for the guys who cover the receivers, well, I would like to think Pat Surtain and J.C. Horn are a solid start to represent the class. Jags fans would be the first to let you know how good their guy Tyson Campbell is as well, and I'd be right there with them defending him, as I think Tyson is a very underrated player and he improved a lot from year 1 to year 2. Patrick Surtain was a first-team All-Pro this past year at just 22 years old, and I wouldn't be surprised if he repeats this year, as I think he and Sauce Gardner are going to represent the corner position for a very long time. One of my favorite players in the NFL was also a part of this class, and it's former Oregon safety Jevon Holland. Holland is a very good safety for the Dolphins, and the 49ers also drafted a steal of a safety in the 5th round in Talanoa Hufanga. He was a first-team All-Pro last year, and as you can see, there are All-Pros at every position throughout this class, and obviously the receiver position gets a lot of love, and rightfully so, but the secondary more than holds their own relative to other drafts. The running back position isn't insane by any means, but I think they will hold their own over the course of time. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne were taken in the 1st, and Travis missed all of his rookie season, but would go on to finish 9th in rushing yards in 2022 on over 5 yards per carry. Ramondre Stevenson went for over 1,000 yards last year, as did Najee, and there's a chance this class has 4 backs go for over 1,000 yards this year, which would also include Broncos running back Javonte Williams. Again, this class's running backs aren't what the receivers are, but Najee, Travis Etienne, Ramondre, and Javonte is a very, very solid class. For reference, the 2020 class is led by Jonathan Taylor, who is an elite player when healthy, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, and DeAndre Swift. Those are the top 4 players in rushing yards through 3 years. So, in comparison to the 2020 class, the edge would go to 2021. Now, one area where this class is admittedly not the best is quarterback. When you take a glance at the draft, yes, Trevor Lawrence had a great second season after a woeful rookie season, shout out Urban Meyer, but you can't miss Zach Wilson at number 2 and skim right past it. He is a draft bust, and every draft has them. For now, this class has a hit on one quarterback, and the jury is still out on Justin Fields and Mac Jones, who have not had great situations dealt to them in terms of both offensive play calling and offensive weapons to throw to. But for every other position this draft has, I don't think having only, and even only is in quotations here, one great quarterback as a knock on this class, because at the moment I am a Justin Fields believer and think he will become a good quarterback over time. And I think Matt can become above average, but I don't think he'll ever be a great quarterback. If you build a team from every position in this class, you're not going to have any weaknesses, and we haven't discussed linebackers too much from this class, but Nick Bolton and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah certainly fit the bill and are good players. But from Lawrence, Chase, Parsons, take your choosing of an offensive lineman, this class has it all. And I truly believe 10 years from now, this class will be viewed like the 2011 class is, with Cam Newton, J.J. Watt, Richard Sherman, and everyone else from that legendary class. And no Broncos fans, I didn't forget Super Bowl 50 MVP Von Miller, or Falcons fans with Julio. We live in a world where people try to be the first to a take at times, but this class has all the makings of being the draft class of the 20s. Only about 26% of people watching are subscribed, so if you enjoy, please like the video and subscribe. It only takes a second and helps the channel tremendously. And once again, thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Please make sure to check them out, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.